I always said I wanted to race for a living. I didn't say I need to be a NASCAR driver or this or that. I just wanted to race a car for a living.
Goes the engine on David Gravel. Lots of smoke billowing off the side of the car, number 6.
He's 100% focused. You know what I mean? And when he doesn't do good, he takes that and he moves on to the next race and he wants to do better. You know what I mean?
I didn't really know what the world of Outlaws was or a sprint car was till later in life.
The way that I feel about that is I always say I want David to come out of the car the same way he came into the car. You want them to do well and you're hoping that they're going to win, but at the same time you just want them to be safe.
It's totally different than when he was just like my boyfriend or my husband. It was like, oh, my husband's a race car driver, you know, but now it's like, he's a dad. Don't do that.
We watched NASCAR growing up, and once we saw Ford 10 to wing sprint cars for the first time, we're like, damn, these are cool, and I want to do this.
Happy birthday, David Gravel. He wins wire to wire at I-94.
Like most racing stories, it is a passion passed down from family. Most of the time it comes from Dad, but for David Gravel, the speed gene comes from his mom, Maureen.
Well, back in the day, my father was kind of a gearhead, and at home I also did some racing myself. I did some enduro races and some demolition derbies. And then once I started having children and being pregnant, then I had to give all that up. But that's kind of where it came from. But my father was a gearhead. He was a big Ford guy.
I think they threw like 60 cars out there, and I don't know how long the race was, a couple hours or a couple hundred laps, and it's like whoever won or finished. But when you wrecked, I think they left the cars out there and you had to try to miss them. I believe she crashed or her car broke and she got rear-ended and like got severe whiplash. It was like a big dramatic thing, I guess.
It's crazy. It's crazy and it hurts like heck. It really hurts, but it was fun. It was something that I've always wanted to do. I've always kind of been a gearhead. I've always, one of my first cars was a brand new Mustang GT back in the day. We used to go to this place called the Berlin Turnpike, and I used to go up there and race other people and shift gears and do hole shots and burnouts and all that stuff, so it's been a lot of fun.
Eventually, Maureen's racing career got the hook, but the seeds had already been sown into the DNA of a precocious son who soaked everything up like a sponge.
How was David as a kid? Let me think. He was fun. We had a great deal of fun when he was a child. We played a lot, always on the ground. He was always on something with 4 wheels and just having a good time.
I would say from the age of 8 months old, you could tell he already loved cars. He was a little car kid. He wasn't into dinosaurs or anything else, or like Power Rangers or things like that. It was everything about cars, exhaust, sounds of cars. So he also played with a lot of like little Matchbox cars, and that's actually how he learned how to do his numbers and his colors, was with little Matchbox cars of NASCAR drivers. So it's always been a love of cars for David.
I had a big wheel. I guess I drove that in circles everywhere, and I had a coupe car, and I was always driving that in circles. So for whatever reason, I was obsessed with going in circles. And yeah, I loved cars at a young age, and I was just a really active kid. Loved playing wiffle ball, basketball, football, you know, played a lot of sports, video games, and just loved stick and ball sports, loved racing. And you know, my dad had like RC cars when I was younger, and I loved those. So we would go to the NASCAR races at a young age before even I started racing. And yeah, just cars have always been a part of our lives.
It's hard to describe how he was, but he was a fun little kid, that's for sure. Always liked motors, always liked cars. It came supernatural for him. It was like he was born into it. Maureen's side of her family was into it, I was into it, so it was all simply really natural for him.
Yeah, so I don't think really my parents pushed me at all. My dad, he's very mechanically inclined, but didn't really have any clue how to make a race car fast. That wasn't his forte. His forte was providing good equipment and making it look good.
We bought a cheap car, $1,500. We didn't have a ton of money back then, and we went racing. And he practiced every single night.
His very, very first race that he ever raced, he actually won. His very first race after graduating like from novice school for racing.
And then it just carried on from there. We had a fabulous year, and then we just, you know, kept on racing more and more and more and traveled all over the country.
When you're a child, you seldom think of the future. It's innocence, curiosity, and imagination that have no boundaries.
When you're a young kid, you have more fun off the racetrack than you do on the racetrack. You know, you're playing video games, you're playing football, you're playing wiffle ball. It was just more like playground, recess time, and then, all right, when your dad yells at you, you gotta get in the car, you get in the car and you go race. And then my uncle Earl Riley, he was like my crew chief for my whole career till I was like 15 years old, and he's the guy that pushed me, and that's why I'm kind of used to all these crew chiefs nowadays pushing me, because I've been pushed since I was a young kid. So he was kind of like my football coach, and he was hard on me, but it's all paid off.
Me and Ray Capella, which was the guy from JRC, very good friends of ours, we put the team together, which we did it for 4 years. We gave him a 4-year plan. We said, this is like a college education for you. You're getting 4 years out of us. Go do what you could do. You're not getting paid, which he didn't make any money back then. And I said, after that, you got to find a new gig. You got to go start making your own money.
You just don't know if it's going to pay off, right? Yeah, just because you want to win doesn't mean you're going to. You got to have the equipment, you got to make the right moves on the track and not make mistakes. So it's hard to say, but we were disappointed if we didn't win. And luckily we won a decent amount, but we traveled a lot and got humbled a lot as well, and went to the best places, race against the best competition, and it didn't always go great. And if it didn't, my uncle wasn't happy, I wasn't happy, my dad wasn't happy. So I think that we're just competitive people, and nobody likes to lose.
And while competition and the desire to win remain the driving force for any racer, the on-track experiences do extend beyond the oval or straight line into everyday life, where winning can take on a whole new definition.
I was actually going after her friends first. I wasn't going after her. She had a boyfriend at the time.
That's true, I was the last picking. Yeah, the last one. I got the, sloppy like fourths, I think, or something.
And David was actually friends with Jillian's brother, because David and Jillian's brother were both gearheads. So on the weekends, they used to like to go places with their cars. They had Mustangs. Mustangs were like their car, their favorite car. So he would go over to his friend Christian's house, and there was this pretty girl Jillian sitting there.
We had a beach house, and we went on jet skis, and my brother, he was my brother's friend, that's how we met. And he wanted me to go on the back of the jet ski with him, and he flung me off the first, second we were on it.
Yeah, I did. She just didn't have anybody to ride with, so she had to ride with me, which I was bummed. I was like, man, probably wanted somebody else on there. So I was like, oh, let's get aggressive, and freaking got after it, did a couple donuts, and I heard a splash, and I was like, oh, she must have fell off.
So I got water all up the nose, the whole thing, yeah.
Maybe it gave her a concussion and made her fall in love with me.
No, I grew up, we watched NASCAR on Sundays, my dad and brother, but we never really went to race.
You know, she's more of a country club, golf type of person, tennis person, than going to a dirt track with dust flying and everything like that.
I went in high school one time to a race, and I think it was the upstate New York track. I went, and I had a good time, I loved it.
She went to college, and she took trains and drove to see me race, and she went to school in LaSalle in Philadelphia, and I would go and see her when I was close by. And
I'm sure people thought that I had like a fake imaginary boyfriend, because nobody saw him, because every weekend was, a party or something, and he was never able to come.
You know, there was ups and downs, and we broke up and got back together, and it was difficult, not easy. She didn't understand the life. I think the distance was good at times and bad, but I think if you're together all the time from when you're a teenager till now is really hard. We kind of know everything about each other, and we have a lot of similarities, but also a lot of differences. We're all our own people, and she's always supported me, and it's been a fun ride.
I don't think we ever did anything romantic. And that was the other thing with the racing schedule, right? You get a boyfriend, you're happy to have a boyfriend, and then they're gone. And so all my girlfriends were going out with their boyfriend for ice cream cones. I had no ice cream cones, nobody to go with me.
Racing's a tough deal. It's so hard, it's not easy. you need money to start, you know, or somebody's got to sacrifice something for you to get that platform. And if that's to quarter midget racing or micros or outlaw carts or sprint cars, whatever that is, right? You have to work hard and try to master where you could go to and where you stop, and then hopefully you get a sponsor, hopefully you pick up a car owner that believes in you to bring it to the next level. Ray Capella at JRC Transportation bought us a 600. At the time we had a 270. I got to race both classes and really gain a lot of experience in a shorter time. And we had our own 360 team that we raced URC with, and that was all my dad plus our sponsors. And after that, to go to the 410 level, Ray Capella purchased a truck and trailer, 3 cars and 2 motors. My dad sold our rig. We had a little toter home and a trailer. We had 2 360 engines and a sprint car. And we sold all that and put all that money towards forming DDR Motorsports, the 89G. And we kept our sponsors that we always had and made it all happen. And the money my dad made wouldn't have been enough to race the All-Stars in the 410 level. Like, we maybe could have raced locally in Pennsylvania with the 410. Maybe that would have been where we peaked, but we really needed somebody to purchase all that stuff. You know, I'm sure he spent probably $400,000, Ray did, that initial investment with the trailer, the truck, 3 cars and 2 motors, you know, all said and done. The cars came assembled, they came vinyled, they came to Connecticut like nearly ready to go.
It's got its moments, that's for sure. You know, you worry every time, especially when you're not around. We worry at home every time he hits the track. You just don't know. It's a dangerous sport, and we all know that. I mean, when he was in the 89 car, I think it was the first year running 410, and he broke his back running with the All-Stars. I mean, it was brutal on us. We were home, he was in Indiana.
But as the first flight that I was able to get on, I obviously went there. So that's one of the most difficult things about when your loved one gets hurt at the racetrack.
When I went to the doctor for the first time, Ortho Indy, when they told me like my back was broken here and compression fractures here, that I wouldn't be able to finish the season, like I remember like started sweating and then I passed out a couple minutes later. Like, that was like hard to handle and take.
And we told him, we said, listen, Dave, we could stop right now. You don't have to do this for a living. Let's stop racing, we'll go buy a boat, and we'll go fishing all the time. Something a little safer, maybe.
I think I knew once I healed up, I was going back doing it. My parents asked me, they're like, you sure you want to race? And I said, yeah, I don't think I ever faltered that.
And Maureen's crying, I'm crying, he's crying. And basically said, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. This is it. And he was 16, 17 years old at the time. He knew what he wanted to do, and he knew his goals. And I'm proud of him for that, to stick with it. After being, you know, in a bodysuit pretty much for 6 months.
As far as the plan, they told me 4 years. I believe we roughly did 5 years, but there was always pressure to perform, make sure I helped out and woke up at a certain time, was physically fit. I worked out at Pit Fit in Indiana there. So we kind of had this plan, and then after that last year, it was like, all right, everybody's done. And we went to Phoenix Racing 59 car and started the year off there. And we were gonna do a pick and choose schedule, not commit to any series. And Bill Rose broke his arm, and that put me on the Outlaw Tour, you know, part-time.
Well, the second race out of the season down at Volusia, I broke my arm. And I wanted the car to go ahead and run the rest of the year. I just got to figure out something, and they got a hold of me, and we put something together, and he ended up running pretty much the rest of the year.
Watertown, Connecticut, and the firetextresponse.com, Right Process Systems, Innovative Molding Machine, JRC Transportation, number 6, the Super Sub, David Gravel. David Gravel in car number 6, filling in for the injured Bill Rose here at the Merced Speedway, getting his first ever look at this quarter-mile bull ring.
You know, he definitely did a great job because I didn't have near the equipment I got now. He still was running up front then. So, I mean, the kid's got so much talent.
Gravel with a big run on the cushion off turn 4. He'll take the lead as they come down the first straightaway.
And on the clock, the man fastest in warm-ups this evening out of Watertown, Connecticut. Boy, did he throw it into turn 1 hard there. filling in for Bill Rose in the firetextresponse.com right process systems innovative molding machine number 6. It's David Gravel. Gravel looking to become the 16th different main event winner in Outlaw competition in 2013. Backstretch for the final time into turn 3. Smooth on the cushion out of turn 4. Happy birthday, David Gravel. He wins wire to wire at I-94.
His win, I mean, it's big. You know, every win is big anymore, but you know, it's just, you just got to say it's a huge accomplishment.
David Gravel!
The year I raced for Phoenix Racing was the same year I went to the West Coast and drove for Rod Tyner, and we won an Outlaw show that year. And then Tim Kading exited the Roth car and put me in the Roth car. Then right there, that was my big shot, was getting in that Roth car.
And out of turn 4, Gravel, his second night behind the wheel of the car. He's a winner at the Eldora Speedway. Darren Pittman second and Randy Hannigan third.
Winning my second night in the car and winning the next weekend, we won our first 2 or 4 races, and that, I think, solidified me like, hey, this guy's for real, this guy's good.
Checkered flag set to wave at the Merced Speedway, and it will wave on David Gravel.
The people that make it in racing, you know, a lot of people have gotten great opportunities and not have capitalized, and you have to capitalize on good opportunities. Doing good with good equipment, because there's a lot of people that race good equipment and don't have the results, and at the end of the day, you better have results or you're never going to get hired.
The best days, there's a lot of good days, especially with the World of Outlaws, to be honest with you. A lot of great races that we won. The Houston Millions, Knoxville. I mean, it's hard to tell you which one's the best one, because there's a lot of them. You know, there's a lot of great races that we won and almost won. It's just the excitement of that is, you know, that draws me every time.
Gravel to the inside of Elias, and another car slowing on the cushion right in front of David Gravel. Traffic has been hectic for your race leader with 2 laps to go.
Knoxville Nationals. We have been so close so many times, it feels like, and just something would always happen.
Down the back chute for the final time as the white flag flies. David Gravel through turns 3 and 4. Up on the high side of the racetrack from the drop in the green. David Gravel wins the Knoxville Nationals!
So that was like finally, like just that weight off your shoulders that he accomplished that off his list of something he wanted to do.
It was very surreal, just because he hooked up with Jeff Gordon that year, and they put that big Exalta car together, and just everything played in the right way. You know what I mean? It was just, the stars were aligned, and it happened. You know what I mean? To have Jeff Gordon there, it was just, again, surreal. That was David's hero growing up. I mean, you know, we used to take him to NASCAR races, and, you know, that's who he rooted for. So it was pretty cool to win the Knoxville Nationals with who was backing us at the time.
Finish, you had a DNF. Oh my God! Give him a massive hug. It doesn't feel real, buddy.
Dude, you were amazing. I'm so proud of you.
Thank you, buddy.
I'm so proud
Thank you.
of you.
Thanks for believing me.
No, because you made me look good.
Oh yeah.
I want to keep making you look good too.
All right, appreciate it, bro. Thank you.
Enjoy that. I'll be around for a little bit.
All right, sounds good.
Jeff Gordon being there, like his childhood idol. I mean, just that was amazing, let alone, like he was able to handle the pressure and win that race. Like that, like I felt complete after that. I don't know if he did, obviously not, because he's still here doing this, but I just felt like, okay, I don't care anymore. Like that pressure of we have to win, we have to get this win, we have to get. I'm just like, wow, I feel like good with where we're at. Like Jeff Gordon watched him win the most prestigious in their sport, biggest race. Just was like a dream come true for me to watch that happen, I feel.
David, I like this victory lane shirt.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone has made on Where's that champagne?
What do you mean?
We finished it already. Here we go. Feels amazing. I don't know. I'm numb. I wasn't that tired in the car, but after the checkered, it just sinks in. It's like you got boulders on your shoulders, and man, I don't know what else to say. It's really surreal. It doesn't feel real at all.
We were just flawless all week. You know, we won the Capitani, we won our prelim night, and we won Saturday. It was just, it was a dream week.
Obviously, winning the Knoxville Nationals was a really cool experience, but I like when David has to come up and race through the fields. I mean, getting a dash draw one is always nice, but I enjoy the races where I feel like he's really earned it and deserved it. So one of my favorite races was actually last year at the Knoxville Nationals when he started 24th because he didn't do very good on his prelim night.
You know, coming from the B main last year, coming from the back, yeah, I had to race. My heart rate was way higher, guaranteed, than it was that night when we won. And it's stressful, you're working hard.
David Gravel continuing his charge from deep in the field. Oh, nearly gets together with Carson Messina. Now David Gravel up into the 4th spot in car number 2.
Nothing is easy, but it was definitely easier leading from the second half of that race on and having no cautions.
Gravel turns it back to the left, tries to get back underneath him. Carson Messina drives it down the racetrack as they roll down the front straightaway. Gravel on the bottom, Messina on the top. David Gravel hugs the low line out of turn number 2. Carson Messina with the spot, but here comes Gravel to the inside once again into turn 3.
On the back straightaway, David Gravel on the outside. Donnie shots down low. He slides up across the racetrack. He'll put the slider on Gravel. Off of turn 4, they'll battle him down the front chute. Donnie shots. He'll hold on to second.
Schatz second, David Gravel third, Giovanni Selzy in the 4th spot. Gravel all over Schatz, and this allows Kyle Larson to get away.
Down the back chute now, Gravel looking low on Donnie shots again in turns 3 and 4, puts the slider on him. He'll get the spot in turn number 4.
David Gravel up to second now from 22nd.
Again, it's Knoxville Nationals. The stands are packed. There's nothing easy about it.
Kyle Larson wins Knoxville Nationals number 2.
David Gravel 22nd to second.
And he had to come from the very back of the field and he finished second. So opportunities like that make me very proud. More opposed than saying starting on the pole and winning the race.
Did you guys like that show from the back? Man, I want to be a 2-time winner of Knoxville Nationals so bad. You know, 2 seconds in a row now. I'm Levi's first Nationals. Jill was real pregnant here last year, and now we got an awesome little dude. So, yeah, this is a good second. Last year was a crappy second. This year was a good second.
Yeah, it's been different. You know, it's just so odd to me that I'm 31, I'm a dad, I'm married. You know, you still feel young and that you're a kid, but you know, you're not anymore. Now you have a whole human life to take care of.
He always loved kids, so he's always picked up little kids and been around little kids. I remember Darren Pittman's, when he first got on the road, his kids were very small, and he used to love hanging out with Darren Pittman's kids and Shane Stewart's kid. So he was always gravitated towards, you know, kids, and so I know he always wanted to be a father, and I knew he was gonna be a good one.
I think he really wants to incorporate his son into his racing so he never feels like there's any sort of division. Levi has a love of cars, as David did as a child. So therefore, I think it's great that he has also welcomed into what he does for a job. I mean, who really gets to go to work every day and incorporate their kids in what they do at a regular job? Being a race car driver, he's here and he gets to experience that. So David, as far as changing, made him a lot more patient and understanding with the certain situations because it's not always on your time. Sometimes it's on Levi's time.
I've always wanted to be a dad. I always wanted to have a boy first and hopefully a girl second. So right now everything's going perfect to plan. I've been very, very lucky, but Levi is just great. He's a great baby. He's good to us. He's getting a little more needy as he's starting to walk and be older, but just, you know, everything went perfect with the birth. Jill was healthy, Levi was healthy, and he loves cars, so we're gonna be in trouble later in life.
My whole race fan excitement is totally different now. because I'm like, look out, he's got a kid. You know, like, what? Don't try to crash him. You know, it's not even the points and this and that. It's just like, he's a dad now. It's totally different than when he was just like my boyfriend or my husband. It was like, oh, my husband's a race car driver, you know? But now it's like, he's a dad. Don't do that.
You see these rosy cheeks? I don't drink. So that's high blood pressure. I don't know if they're nerves, but the pressure's always up. That's for sure. But there's always nerves.
I would say probably Volusia a couple of years ago when they had that bump in the track and his car, he went flying and then he was upside down and it went on fire.
06 car upside down, 2 cars upside down big time in turn number 2.
And I would just remember screaming from like the grandstands, just like, get out of the car, get out of the car. And it felt like forever for the quads, the safety crew to get over there, and the car was on fire and he was still in it. And I'm like, get out. But he, you know, knocked out. So that, to me, I didn't even know I was gonna be climbing up at the fence. That was terrible. That was scary to me. It's a terrible feeling. Like, you don't know what is going on, if they're gonna be able to get him out of the car, or at least, I just remember the fire. That was the most, you know, scary. I'm like, oh my God, what if, yeah, you don't even wanna say it.
Does it get easier? Yeah, because he knows what he's doing. You know, he knows what the car does. And he knows that he's not gonna put himself in a predicament, which, I really appreciate that for a father's side of it, because we're not that nervous as we used to be. You know, he's a very professional race car driver now.
Again, the good news, both drivers able to walk away from some badly damaged race cars.
I think definitely more patience. He's had a ton of patience. He totally grounds me. He's my, as you could tell, I have a little, little spunk.
She is not chill like I am. Like, I'm like flatlined at all times, where she's emotional roller coaster, high anxiety. So she's stressed out to the max at the races. She's exhausted. She tells me she's working harder than me at the racetrack, and maybe she is, but it's not easy for her.
And then he gets a t-shirt trailer, which is gorgeous, and there's no mini fridge in it. I pack this giant tote bag to go to the track all day. You got 3 outfits for my kid, but milk, fruit, everything. And I get there the first day, I'm so excited to see his new trailer. I pull the milk bottle out to put it in the fridge, and I'm like, here, put this in the fridge. He's like, we don't have a fridge. So you're telling me you wanted another bin instead of our son's food? Yeah, so we're gonna figure that out.
It is hard, he's very active. He naps a couple times a day, eats a couple times a day, and now he's wandering around. So yeah, it is a lot of work, and that's something we're working on together, is having car seats and pack and plays. And again, she's not there all the time, he's not there all the time. So just moving around and flying together, or flying by herself, traveling, it's definitely a lot to handle.
How does it change him? Let me say about that one. He's still very dedicated to racing. I mean, even when he's home and it's the off season, he's always getting something cooked up or always doing something, but he's very loving to his son. And kind of looks like me when I was like that. Like, Levi's the best, you know what I mean? And as a grandfather, I couldn't ask for anything better, or never prouder of my son and my daughter-in-law.
They always say that you'll never know how much it'll change your life when you have a grandchild. And my husband and I have absolutely loved it. I mean, we love being parents, but now we really get to enjoy and not be stressed out or feeling overwhelmed, because you know what? We know at the end of the day, it's for a short period of time, so we enjoy being a grandparent very much.
I'm not like, those people that have to cringe when their mother-in-law is coming over. So I'm really thankful for that. And they treat me like their daughter, They're really generous, they're really great. They're great with Levi. They help so much at the track and everything too.
Talking to guys like Paul McMahon and Joey Saldana, when those kids get to an age and they start playing sports on weekends and doing these activities at night, that's where it's gonna get really, really hard. So I'm just gonna hit it hard right now until I'm hopefully 40, hopefully have a very successful career, and then hopefully I can be a dad and a business owner, and I guess go on my terms.
Well, we have 2 daughters too. He's got 2 sisters, Brittany and Victoria, and they are also very involved with David's racing. I think they're great cheerleaders for their brother and supportive.
Definitely in their eyes, it's probably true that I'm the golden child or the #1 child. So it's really cool. My sisters know more people in racing than I do, I feel. They're heavily involved in it. My sister Victoria works at IPC, Carbon Fiber Shop in Indiana. Brittany does kind of her own thing at home, but very interjected in the sport, and they've kind of just embraced it, and it's a part of their lives.
Both of them love it, absolutely love it. I mean, they would go to every race if they could, you know what I mean? See, they started going to the races when they were 2 and 3 years old, and that's all they knew. You know, we wouldn't leave them home with anybody, no babysitters. We'd be quarter midget racing, and they'll be right aside of us every single weekend. It made you as a closer family, and it made his sisters really loved the sport and loved watching him race. It was very nice. It was a great family experience for sure.
Yeah, he's got a great support system. He's got great family, great friends. His parents help so much in the t-shirt trailer, his sisters. It's definitely a whole tight-knit family unit. It's really great.
My parents are just extremely loving people, very passionate people. Sometimes they're over the top, sometimes they're exactly what you need, but they've always been there for me, and you know, racing is their life. Like when they aren't working, they want to go to the races. They don't go on vacation. They don't do anything else. Like it's work, hang out at home, and then they're going to the races somewhere. So they're just the most supported and loving people, and probably the most unselfish people I've ever met. You know, I just, you know, see other families or parents or whatever, and they'll just do whatever needs to be done. If it's for Jill, for me, for Levi, for my sisters, it doesn't matter. They'll do whatever, and I definitely respect that, because I'm definitely more selfish than them, no doubt, and they're just one of a kind.
Even David's friends, everybody would just always go to their house. It would be like the meeting pot, and we would have parties over there, because his parents were fun. They're lively, they're younger, like, yeah, definitely. They're like friends.
What I got to come to the track is I feel like there's a sense of family. When it's off season, you miss seeing all the other fellow drivers and their families. It's always wonderful to catch up. But I feel like everybody needs to come to a track and see a race in person. You need to smell it and feel it, and it's just a way different experience to actually be at the track.
We got a lot of friends back home that absolutely love the racing. You know, we told them, come watch one race. Come check it out, see how exciting it is. It's nothing like pavement stuff. You know, follow the leader. This stuff is fast and it's exciting. And everybody that we've ever introduced it to absolutely loves it. You know, we come from a city, not a lot of racing fans in a city, you know, where we're from. And it just makes you happy that, you know, you get more fans to follow Dave. Or, you know, it's hard to describe, but it's a wonderful feeling to have so many friends that are into it.
You know, there's a lot of reasons. My parents definitely aren't happy that I moved to Florida, that's for sure.
I love it here. My mom moved here like 10, 11 years ago. And we had always vacationed in this part of Florida because my grandparents had a place here.
For me, Connecticut's a very expensive and highly taxed state. Florida has no state income tax, Connecticut does. So that helps.
Whenever it was the off season, it's freezing, it would be snowing. My family basically kind of all migrated this area, so I convinced him because his cars. So I said, well, you have all these nice cars, you can't even drive them because you're not home all year and then you're home when it's snowing. So he looked at me and he thought about it.
I spent all this money on my cars and don't get to enjoy them ever. It's like, why have them if you can't enjoy them? And I really don't have a lot of time to enjoy them as it is.
You know, the number one thing in life is you have to make it the man's idea. I learned that. If it's their idea, they're gonna do it. So you have to kind of, you know. So I did that. I groomed And then here we came.
Getting those 3 months down here when the weather is in the 70s pretty much all winter long is a big benefit for me.
Right, hon? I convinced you to move down because your cars? But I think he loves it here. I just obviously know that he wishes he had his parents or his family here, because I totally get that. I don't really have friends here either, so I'm managing.
All right, guys, my Viper sickness has continued. Yeah, I have quite a bit of cars. My first car was an Infiniti G35. I sold that, and I have a 2005 Mustang that I still currently own. And my first big boy purchase I ever made, I lived at home. I had no bills. I bought a 2014 Dodge Viper, and that was always one of my dream cars.
I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I love it. I love the cars. He got a Mustang. What is it called? That's all? I thought there was more letters. GT500. It's... So my car has been in the shop for like months, as you know, and I just got it back. I almost called to say, you know, extend it another month because I was driving the Mustang. Rips. Thing rips, and it hugs you, and it's loud, and it hugs the road, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I got a couple other project cars, but those are the main ones. But we'll always be involved in cars and buying and selling parts, buying and selling cars. It's kind of my side hustle, my passion, and yeah, I love it.
I love cars. And so does Levi. He definitely got the genes.
Sometimes I will read things that people think that race car drivers aren't just like a regular person like you and I are. And they lose light of that sometimes, and they put them on quite the pedestal. But you know, they need to eat, they need to use the facilities, they need to talk to their crew chief because they're here to do a job. And sometimes people don't realize that this is their job and this is what they're here to do. And I think people lose light of that sometimes.
Yeah, that's what I feel like the podcast shows, like show a personal side, being at the t-shirt trailer, interacting with fans and showing you're just a normal guy, you know, not try to be standoffish and open up to people. And at the end of the day, we're just normal people, you know. We're not a Formula One driver or a Formula One racer. I feel like we're sprint car racers, and we're no different than anybody else. Night one, Williams Grove National Open, and it is cold as balls. Man, it is cold.
I try very hard not to be vocal. I'm not very like present on Twitter, and you know, I usually retweet. I mean, I think I tweeted one time and it was like a situation, but it's okay. We're past that. We all love each other. But I just stay out of it. I stay out of it. I just reshare everything. Because it's his career, it's his job. He doesn't come to my job and say something to my boss, and you know, I'd be embarrassed. So, you know, I think that's the other thing, is it's a fun, like, we're fans, but that's his job. Like, you forget he's at work.
What's up, guys? David Gravel in the kitchen again. We got some flank steak here. We got this one teriyaki.
As a child, as far as cooking, he never cooked. I pretty much did everything. But once he moved out on his own, he is one to do research. If he buys something, cooks something, he's a researcher. He's gonna Google how to make the best steak, or he's gonna Google how to make the best pork chop. So the love of cooking has kind of just, I don't know where that came from. I mean, I love to cook, and we all cook at our home. My husband's never cooked, and David never cooked as a child, but he just really likes to, when he does something, he wants to do the best. My mom always cooked every night. We didn't go out to dinner that often, and when I moved away and became an adult, you know, we had to eat somehow. And Jill's not a bad cook, but she doesn't grill and I guess prepare like a lot of meat, say, but she's one that kind of cooks in the kitchen, and I kind of go on the grill. And growing up on the road with the World of Outlaws, when you're just with these teams, and we would go to Minot, North Dakota, and all the teams would get together and kind of have a cookout party in this small parking lot, and you just learn how to cook and learn from this guy or that guy, and then
you know, with social media nowadays, there's a zillion recipes, zillion videos, and man, that looks good. I want to try that out. So I would say just being on the road, not want to eat fast food all the time, and yeah, I love food, love steak, love chicken, love seafood, learned how to eat a lot of different white fish down here, and yeah, I like dessert too much too.
Merry Christmas, everybody. We're making our prime rib here.
Like his wife says now, she can't even go to a nice steakhouse because she feels David's steaks are the best steaks at home.
Thank you, everybody, for the chocolate milk. Appreciate you guys. My stomach's gonna hate me now, but it's worth it. We'll talk to you guys in a little bit. Thanks.
There's pressure every night, no matter what the deal is. We want to run good every night, especially when there's a lot of money on the line. You know, as sprint car drivers, how we make a living is kind of sole dependent if we win a crown jewel or not. If not, it's a very average year, but if you win one of those big events, you could double what you make in a season. So, and then when that doesn't happen, it's like you have a huge hangover after an event, and then you got to go race for 10,000 or 12,000 where you just had a chance to win 250,000 or $1 million or 175. So championship or bust mentality, and it kind of has been the last 3 years. The first year of Big Game Motorsports, you just don't know how that's going to go, and it went well. We ran second in the points, which was my highest in my career. So the following year you run second, you want to win the next year, and ran second 3 years in a row. And Cody Jacobs has grown so much as a crew chief from year one with me with Big Game Motorsports. He's been around the sport a long time. I feel like if we just control our own destiny and, you know, do our jobs, that we are more than capable of doing it. And we just got to work hard on driver not making mistakes, making sure stuff's maintenance up well and not having part failures, and you know, the boys working hard on making sure everything's tight, work area stuff, because at some point we're going to have to fight adversity. We race too much not to. So all we can focus on is doing our jobs correctly. I think we're primed for it. We have the pieces, we have the tools, the equipment, the people. You just got to go out and do it.
You know, not everybody gets to do that, living out your dream, I feel like. It's special, it's rewarding. It's knowing that you helped mold your kid to get on the path that he was gifted to do. And it makes me happy to know that when he goes to work, he loves what he does.
Coming from a non-racing background, it's like, it's unreal for me, it's surreal. Very proud of what he's accomplished, way past my expectations.
I mean, I got a great livelihood from, you know, what it's able to provide for my family, like being able to stay home. I stayed home for the first year with Levi. I also get just seeing like joy out of my husband, like he's getting to do what he loves. So many support systems, so many fans, so many people. I get a whole social life, totally different than normal life. So it's really, I mean, it's really interesting. It's really cool.
Yeah, it's definitely, as you get older, right? Racing is everything, performance is everything, but now when you have a kid, you know, it's like, all right, I got Levi and Jill when I come home or with me at the hotel or wherever we're staying that night. And definitely you look at things like, all right, we didn't run good tonight, but I'm healthy. I'm racing a race car for a living, and I have, you know, a great family. So it's like a bad night isn't that bad anymore.
Do you know the stress that this puts me through?
I felt like I stumbled.
I'm like the monkey.
First of all, I just want to clear up two things. Number one, David said I'm at home in Connecticut just doing my own thing. Well, my thing is I'm an occupational therapist. And number two, I think you guys left out why my dad thinks my mom's attractive.
If you really want to know, she had a great butt back then. Oh, she still does, okay? Still does.
Good save.
That was a little delay.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's hilarious. I mean, like father, like son, that's all I could say.